Interstate 4. I've driven that road to work for years now. I loved driving it. I enjoy getting into my car, driving to work, rocking out to my music, and seemingly getting to work in no time flat. All of that's changed now since Interstate 4 started the Ultimate Project. Now the roads are jammed. Coming into and leaving work, it's just stop and go traffic. Everyone's frustrated, and it's just not fun anymore. That's why I take alternative transportation. Its proven track record of relieving symptoms such as sitting in traffic and road rage leaves me feeling relaxed and ready for the workday. And with Huey Avenue being closed for a full 18 months, it's important that you also consider alternative transportation. It worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you too.
Alternative transportation. Proven fast relief from traffic jams, road closures, and road rage. Not taking alternative transportation could produce side effects that include drowsiness, extreme irritability, increased sweating, bouts of rage, headaches, slurred speech, Tourette's syndrome, narcolepsy, nausea, upset stomach, diarrhea, constipation, vomiting, swelling hands and feet. Ask your doctor if alternative transportation is right for you. Chances are, the answer's yes.
Good afternoon and welcome to the February 18, 2019 meeting of the Orlando City Council. We're going to begin today's proceedings with a special treat. Our Poet Laureate, Orlando's Poet Laureate, is here with us today. She's going to offer the invocation or maybe a reflection or something, but Susan Lilly is our first Poet Laureate, and she is a Florida native who grew up right here in Orlando. She's the past recipient of a Florida Individual Artist Fellowship and winner of the Rita Dove Poetry Award. She teaches literature at Trinity Prep and is enjoying her role as our first Poet Laureate. Her new book, Venus in Retrograde, will be published this April by Burroughs Press. If you'd all please stand, and Commissioner Hill will lead us in the pledge after our Poet Laureate.
Mayor Dyer, commissioners, fellow citizens, I have more of a reflection today, so I'm not sure standing is necessary, but here we go. In second grade, I was required to write a letter for President's Day to George Washington, and for this opportunity today, I decided to revisit that assignment. Dear George Washington, the last time I wrote to you, I was in second grade, and our teacher had us write letters to you for your birthday. At the time, I was obsessed with a story about a cherry tree and how you never told a single lie. I remember asking you how that could possibly be true. After all, I had told dozens of whoppers just since school started that year. Our current president was Eisenhower, and he didn't look like any president to me. He did not have puffy white hair and a ponytail like you on the dollar bills that many of us see daily as we go about our business today. Now you share your birthday holiday with all presidents, most especially Mr. Lincoln, who you never knew, but trust me, he deserves it. We have had a long line of presidents since you helped make it possible to have American presidents, many of them the most dedicated and noble-minded people you can imagine. Others, well, we all have our opinions. All men, but we have managed to break a big racial boundary, and I'm hopeful that I will cast my ballot to help elect our first woman president in my lifetime. We can vote now, by the way. America has grown in so many ways since your day, I could never explain it all. My city, Orlando, a beautiful place in the middle of Florida, has half as many people as the whole country you led as president all those years ago. I visit City Hall frequently, and people ask me, what is it like there? I am proud to tell them, and you, that my overwhelming impression of our city government is that the women and men in this place are helping people all day long. The pressing needs of neighborhoods, groups, individuals, all on the minds of our mayor and commissioners and everyone else here as they work to make our city better, smarter, safer, cleaner, more inclusive, and happier every day. And greener, which means good stewardship of our natural resources. Now, Mr. Washington, our city leaders may not agree on absolutely everything, but there is a spirit of progress and cooperation that everyone upholds and respects. And so much depends on that. Instead of a day off for President's Day, this tireless team is here to do the work of the people they represent. The issues, problems, and solutions discussed in this room affect so many lives. It is indeed a crucial responsibility. I know if you could, you'd join me in thanking them for their service, just as we are grateful for yours still. To paraphrase another president, all gratitude and blessings to those who don't ask what their city can do for them, but what they can do for their city. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would you call the roll and make a determination of a quorum, please?
Commissioner Gray,
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Here.
Commissioner Stewart,
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan,
Here.
Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Ings,
Here.
Mayor.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum with all members present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our first order of business will be to take up for consideration the minutes of the workshop, agenda review, and city council meetings of January 28, 2019. Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Hill. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, before we get into awards presentations, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Ortiz for a special recognition.
Thank you, Mayor. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome a group of visitors from Poland, guided by our very good friend, retired Colonel Wilson Arisa, former U.S. Army. I'm not going to say what Army stands for. Vice President of Lido's Health, board member for Lake Nona Impact Forum, and he's hosting Dr. Czarna, National Advisor for Healthcare to the President of Poland, and Dr. Shekailo, United States Liaison. They're currently in town for the Lake Nona Institute Impact Forum, where they will be speaking with other global leaders about the research and knowledge of health and well-being of humans. If you can all stand up to be recognized, please.
I had an opportunity to meet with this group during the lunch hour just before we came back, and I'm extremely impressed. It's their first visit to the Impact Forum here at Lake Nona, which is one of the important informational forums that we have in a very important part of our city, the medical city, and everything that is involved out there. So we welcome you. You'll see a number of us at the Impact Forum throughout the course of the week as we do that. You're welcome to stay as long as you would like during the course of council, but we will not consider it inconsiderate in any way if at some point you choose to go on and do other business. But thank you for being here today. Okay, with that, we are going to move into the awards presentations and recognitions, and I only have one today. So Georgina and Reggie, if you guys will come up for Black History Month.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. It is our pleasure to just say thank you for your continued support. As we know, Black History Month is an annual national celebration that recognizes the achievements of African Americans and their significant contributions, not only to American history, but world history. These contributions have impacted people in every facet of our society and our country. This year, we had a unique experience in terms of our event. Number one, it was the first time that we did something outside City Hall, but it was called the theme was called the Black Migration. We attempted to share with the persons who were there, migrants who have come, who happen to be of African American descent, who came to this country to live out their American dream. And the support was tremendous. You'll see my colleagues over who served on the committee. We'll ask that you come down. As the mayor reads, we had about 10 different departments or offices that participated in making our celebration unique. We want to thank again Commissioner Hill and Commissioner Ings, who also participated on the program. Mayor, we're going to ask if you would now to read the proclamation, if you would, sir. Okay, and you can have those that worked on it come forward while I'm reading. Oh, absolutely. Okay, whereas Black history is an integral part of American history because African Americans have played an essential role in building and shaping this great country. And whereas Black History Month is celebrated each February and was originated by the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, founded in 1915 by Carter G. Woodson, an African-American historian, author, and journalist. And whereas throughout Black History Month, we recognize the extraordinary achievements and acknowledge the many contributions African-Americans have made in our nation, our state, and our city. And whereas the city of Orlando embraces its diversity, believes in inclusion, and acknowledges the invaluable contributions of African-American residents and visitors as we celebrate Black History Month. And whereas as a city for everyone, Orlando has a long history of establishing partnerships which have supported the development of programs and organizations which are built on the foundation of compassion and that foster compassion in our city. Now, therefore, we, Buddy Dyer, Mayor of the City of Orlando, and all of the commissioners do hereby proclaim February 2019 as Black History Month in the City of Orlando. We're going to ask all of our commissioners if you would join us in the picture, please. All of our commissioners to join us in the picture. That'd be fine.
Yeah,
You get everybody in there? Again, thanks to each one of you, and thank you, committee, again. My colleague and co-worker, thank you, Georgine. So Reggie mentioned that part of that event was a fashion show, and one of the participants highlighted my 1970s haircut. Oh. Just leaving that to your imagination.
Tell him to go ahead and bring up the picture.
I see it.
Okay, I see some faces I don't recognize, so I am guessing, other than our delegation from Poland, that we might have some students that are in attendance today. So if you're a student attending this is part of one of your classes, would you please stand and let us recognize you?
Wow.
Wow. All right. Wow.
This looks like the entire class. Is everybody from Valencia?
Us?
Where else?
Oh, the deadline's tomorrow.
You guys procrastinated and waited.
Yeah, because the budget hearing's like 5 minutes, okay?
Yeah. And this is the one meeting that we extend and go 5 hours.
Exactly. You picked the wrong one.
Thank you all for being here, and we do hope that you'll gain a little knowledge and insight from being here today. We appreciate that. Okay, I want to take this opportunity to remind you about the Neighborhood and Community Summit on Saturday, March 2nd from 7 to 3. It's going to be at the Royal Pacific Resort. Again, we've been doing this for 14 years, bringing neighborhood leaders together. I think we had about 400 people last year, and I'm not going to do a session on social media or communication, whoever suggested that this morning. I will be doing a meet the mayor or take the mayor's questions or something like that. So you can come and ask me anything you want to ask me is the bottom line, but I encourage you, anybody that hasn't signed up, it is one of the best learning experiences you can have interacting with the city. Okay, I just have a couple things on the agenda that I want to mention. Number one is there's an employment agreement for a project director for our Smart City initiatives, and we have been leading the way in terms of being a smart city, although that means different things to different people. But certainly leveraging technology and improving our responsiveness and how we provide our services. Matt gave us a presentation on some of the things we're doing with our website even, and we have made really good strides. We were selected as a Smart City Council Readiness winner in 2017 and are the co-creator of the Central Florida Automated Vehicle Partnership. We're one of 10 proving grounds in the United States, so it's important that we have somebody whose specific role is to direct our efforts, and that will be Mike Hess, who has very impressive credentials. So he will be our project director for our Smart City Projects City team. And then on the sustainability side, I think everybody knows that one of the items that we're approving today is the Bloomberg grant for $2.5 million over the course of the next several years. Mayor Bloomberg was here a couple Fridays ago to kick that off for us, and we're really excited about that opportunity. We also have on the agenda a new recycling option for multi-family and people who work in office buildings. We've done a great job in our single-family residential, and we're going to continue to expand that program. And the last one I want to mention is the Parks and Recreation Master Plan update. One of our goals through our visioning process is that we have a park within a 10-minute walk of every single resident in the city of Orlando, and we're pretty close to that. With that, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. And the consent agenda is a number of items acted upon through a single vote of council. We give each of our council members an opportunity to comment on items on the consent agenda. And I want to mention that we have previously at agenda review pulled item C3. And what was the other item? One of the economic development.
C6, wasn't it? C6 too. You've heard that.
Was it C6? C3 and C6. Okay. In addition, Commissioner Gray has requested in the interim that we defer action on case MPL 2018-10092, which is Narcoossee Cove 1. It's a multifamily project, and it's the first application on the minutes of the Southeast Town Design Review Committee. Under item C1 on the agenda, the balance of the agenda will be considered for approval. So unless there's an objection to Commissioner Gray's request, I'd like to grant that so he has an opportunity to meet with the developer before final action is taken on that. Everybody okay with that?
That's fine.
Okay, then we'll move on to commissioner comments related to the consent agenda and items of importance in your districts. Commissioner Hill is first up today.
Thank you, Mayor, and happy President's Day, a good President's Day to all. I'll be commenting briefly on some of the things on our agenda. First related is on our CRA. I think it is transformative. That's relating to, I know we have been doing a lot of new development when it comes to affordable housing here in the city. But today, as we continue to move forward with making sure that our city leads the way with affordable housing, we're focused on affordable rental rehabs. And can the Florida Trust just stand up, their team stand up for a moment so I can acknowledge them? Thank you so much. What they're doing, what they have done is they have purchased over 44 properties in our Paramore community. And they will be rehabbing those single unit residential components, multifamily, and duplexes. And with that, they will also make sure that those low quality apartments and duplexes that have been in that condition for well over 40 years, will be healthy. They will make sure that we're using energy efficiency, which oftentimes those residents are paying just as much for their utilities as they are for the rental costs. They will make sure that there's proper ventilation. Many of those residents don't have anything outside of a window AC. Many of them doesn't have efficient heating components. So with the city's assistance, I think about $2.5 million in the long term will go towards rehabbing those projects. They will be using small minority contractors from that area to rehab those projects, along with long-term employment when we come to maintenance and the cleaning of those apartments. And there will be a home buyers piece in there to where those that, as you see UCF and Valencia are there, to give certification programs and degrees, that they will now be the homeowners there in Paramore. So I think this is a transformational piece when it comes to wealth building, changing generational poverty, and a healthier environment as we responsibly revitalize that Paramore community with single family housing, mixed income, but these units will be affordable for the next 20 years, but once it's transferred over to the trust in perpetuity. And that will circumvent what you see going around the nation, and that's true gentrification. So I applaud you all for stepping out of that normal space of purchasing and making everything market rate and thinking about the indigenous people of Paramore. Thank you so much for being a great community stakeholder and partner as we responsibly revitalize the lives and renters there in single family homes in Paramore. Thank you, I appreciate your partnership. Can our West Lakes Partnership please stand up if you're here? West Lakes Partnership. The West Lakes Partnership is homeowners. They're in the West Side, 32805, District 6 and District 5 community, in which they have taken upon themselves to create this nonprofit to where they're going in and purchasing homes there in the West Lake, Sunset, Rock Lake, Spring Lake, Bunch Manor, Clear Lake, Orange Center Corridor, to do rehabs and then resell these homes at affordable costs to different folks throughout the city. So thank you all for also being the front runners. And what's so different, council, about this nonprofit is they are the true stakeholders of that community. They are homeowners. And thank you, Tim Ayers, for being a great steward and leading the way. And also, I can always mention, Mayor, is so oftentimes you don't see those that run against one another. They'll run and then they'll quit and talk about what they were going to do during the campaign season. But Sarah Baldry has been a great community leader, stakeholder in this city, and I'm proud to call her my friend. And thank you for after the campaign, Sarah, for continuing to help me lead the charge in a better District 5. We have Hannibal Square, another trust, and is Hannibal here? Okay. So you're just joining teams, that's okay. So you are one of the newest members there in the west side of District 5 and 6, where you're also following, I think, with some of the front leaders, and our Florida Trust is gleaming from what you've done in Winter Park in your Hannibal Square Trust. And thank you to our team for going out and soliciting the participation of Hannibal Square as we make sure that many of the funds, Commissioner Gray, I know you're really concerned about that some of our city funds are still being secured, and as we invest in our community, that there's responsible folk to make sure that private investors are not just the recipients for the funds that we're investing, that there are trusts, and these funds will be held in perpetuity so that the community can still remain affordable. So thank you all, Hannibal Square. Many of the residents over in Lake Nagasuka area, Harrison Estates, have really been concerned with Lake Nagasuka. We had moved forward through council support in the restoration of Lake Nagasuka that was in despair for at least 2 or 3 decades. But through the partnership of, I believe, our Orlando Union Rescue Mission, the men over there will be doing the maintenance and cleanup there. And we had to halt because of some of the safety issues there at Lake Nagasuka, which is a wetland in its sense. And we had to devise a true mechanism to go back in and clean that lake when safety came first, but also with dredging that lake and taking down some of the treescapes. So we have chosen another contractor, which is the Browning Septic and Plumbing, and they will be moving forward expeditiously in making sure that we clean Lake Nagasuka. And there's many, some infrastructure plans that the mayor has budgeted out to make sure that we can do sidewalks and make that somewhat of a green space in a community park. So I look forward to continuing with that project, and hopefully we can be done before the end of the year. And that will be another check in the box for the residents there at Lake Harrison Estates. And with that, Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move on to Commissioner Ings.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to first express my condolences to the Reverend Dr. Pam Powell and the Powell family on the loss of her husband, Reverend Dr. Leroy Whiteout. He used to be a receiver, Powell Jr. Reverend Powell was born in 1951 and passed away February 12th, 2019. His wake will be held on Friday, February 22nd, from 5 to 7 p.m. at St. Mark AME Church, and his funeral services will be held Saturday, February 23rd, 2019, at 11 a.m. at St. Mark AME Church on Bruton Boulevard. So for those of you that do know Dr. Pam Powell, please express your condolences to her. Also, we're celebrating Black History Month this month. Dr. Carter G. Woodson is the founder of Black History Week and eventually Black History Month. But this is a time where we not only celebrate the month of February, but throughout the year we celebrate Black history. On February the 1st, I attended the World Conference of Mayors 2019 collaboration conference that was held at the DoubleTree by Hilton in downtown Orlando. The former mayor and state representative Johnny Ford of Tuskegee, Alabama was the host at this particular event. And then I held the mayor's VIP reception at the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center that evening at 5:30. We had some historic Black college students from Alabama and Mississippi in attendance, and also we had students from Rollins and UCF in attendance to celebrate the mayor's VIP reception. Also that night, we were entertained by a play entitled Booker T's Towns, and Booker T's Towns represents Tuskegee, Alabama, Hobson City, Alabama, Mound Bayou, Mississippi, Eatonville, Florida, and Grambling, Louisiana. And Eatonville, Florida was the first Black incorporated town or municipal city in the United States. Also, on Monday, February 4th, I attended the Eccleston Elementary second annual Legacy Celebration. Last year's first recipient of this award was Father Nelson Pender, and he was on hand to present the awards to City and County Commissioner Mabel Butler and Orange County Public Schools board member Kat Gordon. They were honored that particular night. So that was a great event. And then also this past Sunday, February 17th, I attended the installation ceremony and fellowship dinner of the African American Council of Christian Clergy. And that was the installation of President Roderick Zack and Vice President Pastor Derek McRae. It was a great event. Reginald McGill, also known as Ray Charles, in the audience today, was on hand too, and we thank you, Reggie, for being there in support and representing the city of Orlando. Congresswoman Val Demings was also present at the event as well. And this was held at the Doubletree by Hilton at Orlando's SeaWorld off of International Drive. And speaking of Reggie and Georgina Rolone, Reginald McGill, and Walter Hawkins, and the Black History Committee, I want to thank you so very much for a great presentation that you did on February 13th at the Mad Cow Theater, Black Migrations. That was a great event. Summer Knowles was there to MC and be a part of the event as well. And Mayor Dyer presented some awards, which was really great, and it helped to highlight all of the achievements. And I do want to say a special thanks to the Black History Committee. You guys were really great. You were punctual, right on time. You were very accommodating to the people, which really means a lot to the city of Orlando. So with that, Mayor, I say thank you for my time, and that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner, and we'll move down to District 1. Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. Wasn't quite ready for that. Thank you, Commissioner Ings.
I told you I'm here to help you, my brother.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I will be brief. 2 announcements and then 1 agenda item. Last week was an interesting and exciting time for Lake Nona. On Wednesday of last week, we celebrated the grand opening of Boxey Park out in the town center of Lake Nona. And what the Tavistock Group has done is taken a lot of boxcars and modified, thank you, sir, modified those into dining experiences and have surrounded that with family activities to include a tot lot, volleyball courts, and plenty of music on stage. So it's an exciting part, another option for folks in the southeast part of town to enjoy the outdoors. So congratulations to them on that open house. And also at the Fisher House, for those of you who haven't heard, the Fisher House is a supportive group for the new VA clinic. And it's a place that, surprisingly, was started by Mr. and Mrs. Fisher to support families as they're there to support their veterans who are getting treatment at the VA clinic. They celebrated 1 year in Lake Nona, and it was great to go and be with the families who are there to support the veterans to get treatment at the VA clinic. So that was an exciting time for us to celebrate their 1 year anniversary. On the agenda item, the only one I want to speak to is item C17. which is a QTI for a potential new business in our city, Dialite Corporation. And to make sure I don't get it incorrect, I'm going to read it to you. They're the world leader in LED industrial lighting technology with over 1 million LED fixtures installed worldwide. They're considering coming to our city, creating 73 jobs, averaging over 72,000 each, and investing about $2.8 million on their own. This requirement is, or this request is for us to reimburse for actual jobs created, a portion of that through our QTI program. So we don't have it for sure, but we're in the running, so I think it would be appropriate if you'd all help me introduce our friend and give them a warm round of applause, and please encourage them to move their world headquarters here to Orlando.
And you could probably guess that their proposed location might be in District 1.
It might be, yes. But certainly thanks to our folks in economic development, both in the city and with our, I still refer to it EDC, please forgive me, Orlando Economic Partnership. But thank you for your help in arranging that. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 2.
Thank you, Mayor. Boxy Park, huh? You know, the first time I saw that was in Puerto Rico, and it was a total success. So I can see that happening here big time. So congratulations. Last week I was able to visit Washington, D.C. with the Florida League of Cities for a fast fly-in that's to work with the federal action agenda. Twice a year we visit members of the federal government, a congressional delegation, to speak with them about our issues, local issues. And this year we talked about water supply and water quality in the state of Florida, investing in infrastructure, transportation infrastructure, community block grants development, Florida broadband infrastructure, the federal preemption of small wireless infrastructure deployment, the impact of recent actions by the FCC will slow small wireless infrastructure deployment in Florida. So we talked about that, the National Flood Insurance Program, and the ADA compliance for municipal website. It's pretty interesting to see that in terms of the water supply and water quality, it's my understanding that Senator Rubio and Senator Scott and the governor wrote a letter to the president to act on that immediately, since it comes through as being an emergency here in the state of Florida. And the other big issue over there has been also the broadband issue, which is coming up. I know it's kind of stagnant right now, Mayor, but it's because of there's other considerations in terms of how these boxes or whatnot are going to be built without affecting our communities in terms of when we have hurricanes or whatnot. So, but and the ADA compliance issue is also a big issue. That's why I brought it up this morning. So they're working pretty hard up there, the senators, the Congress people, and hopefully this time around we'll see something going on. Well, in other issues of the district, we have some meetings, so let me make some announcements. From 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. on February 21st, Thursday, we'll be having our first District 2 Youth Leaders Council. Students from around the district and surrounding areas will be joining us so that we may get to know each other better, as well as convey our expectations for them for this volunteering opportunity. Our hope is to give the students an inside look into what goes on at the municipal level of government, giving them knowledge and real-world experience they can take with them in the future. We're also holding our District 2 Neighborhood Leaders Council from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 on the same date, and we have invited our city staff to demonstrate how to use our new City Orlando website. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move on to District 3. Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor, and I've got a couple of things I'd like to share, but we all have want to wish Jan Rayhill a wonderful retirement, on the eve of her retirement this week. She has been a wonderful asset to our community, has been a great community leader, as well as leading in our Parks Department. So really thrilled about she's having a new chapter in his life, and I hope that she will continue to stay involved and engaged with what we're doing. So we appreciate her service to us. Second thing I want to share briefly is that downtown Credo, one of our great coffee shops in Orlando, was named as one of the 50 best coffee houses in America by Big 7 Travel. I mention that because downtown Kratos got 3 offices, and all 3 of those branches are to be in my district, which I'm thrilled about. So, so it's really a kind of a fun thing. Downtown Kratos is such a neat marketing model, and love the work that Ben's doing over there. Some upcoming events I want to share with you. OUC is going to hold a public meeting on February 20th at 6 o'clock over at Mark Street Center, Senior Recreation Center, over at 99 East Mark Street to discuss the new electrical substation at Lake Highland. They're making some changes over there. I asked them to work with the community and share their information with the community. That's going to happen on the 20th of February. We have a new police chief. Where'd he go? But finally get a chance to introduce you to the community. So I think it's in the month of March and April. We're doing a special one for District 3 on March 5th. We appreciate you being there. We're at the Rosemont Community Center from 6:30 to 8:30. Get a chance to meet Chief Rolone and meet the staff and meet all those involved in our law enforcement, as well as have a hot dog dinner cooked by OPD, which is kind of the best part about the whole thing. So Chief, looking forward to that. Thank you very much. And then the Lou Gardens plant sale is coming up on March 9th and 10th. It is the best plant sale in all of Orlando, and it's in the best place in the entire world, and that is Lou Gardens. So come over. You can shop all day on Saturday and Sunday. And I think if you're a member, you get in an hour earlier, so it's a chance for you to go ahead and join and become a member to do that right now. 2 things on the agenda I want to mention. First is C7, our business assistance program for M Lounge. I was looking around to see if I see anybody from M Lounge. I don't see anybody. We're excited about they're doing some work over there on a new restaurant adjacent to their property. We think that's a great addition over there to that Ivanhoe Village area. And then we're approving today our design build contract with McCree Design Builders for our Rosemont gym. I know that these things always take much longer than any of us like or do it, but we appreciate the work they're doing. So we've made a decision on them. We'll now go begin looking at the needs of the community, see how we can make that work. And our design build contract, our goal is to have that open sometime about mid next summer, maybe even a little bit earlier. All right? And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. And last but not least, Commissioner Sheehan.
Oh, thanks, Mayor Dyer. And I'd like to wish my friends in the Asian American Chamber of Commerce and the Asian community a Happy New Year. They celebrated their Asian Lunar New Year over the weekend. This is the Year of the Pig, and it was a wonderful celebration in the Mills 50 area. So again, Happy New Year, and Chuk Munam Moi. I only know Vietnamese. I haven't learned all the other Asian languages yet, so give me time. Also want to recognize Scott Paxton. He was our District 4 Neighborhood Watch Volunteer of the Year. Scott does a great job over in Waveview Park, and we were over at OPD celebrating all of our Neighborhood Watch Volunteers of the Year. But I just want to certainly shout out to Scott because he does a great job looking out for the park that's right across from his street, the street from his home, but he just has really done a great job, and we'll really appreciate him. Item B6 on the agenda today is City of Winter Park Street brick installation services, $1.25 million for Brick Street restoration. This has been very important, and the folks from Lake Eola Heights, Thornton Park, Lawsona, Fern Creek, as well as Colonial Town wrote letters of support to get the brick streets refurbished in their areas. So I hope we can certainly get them some relief from some of the potholes and things like that, but they love their brick streets and want to keep them. Delighted to see that item on the agenda today. Also, item C5 on the agenda, border zoning adjustment. That's usually not a big deal here at the city, but I just want to thank the staff because we're finally seeing some redevelopments happening in neighborhoods, and they're really working to make sure the architecture matches the existing neighborhood architecture, postmodern in Lake Como area. I just think this is great because architecture really is important. I want to shout out to planning staff for just doing a really, really good job making sure that appearance review actually works in our neighborhoods. And last but not least, item C15, 44 Paramore properties with 83 residential units. Commissioner Held, Mayor, this is going to be transformational for the Paramore community, and as well as a land trust which creates long-term, sustainable, affordable housing. We have had ever since I've been here on City Council, we've put so many units in and we lose them. When we keep losing inventory of affordable housing, this is transformational, and this is so important, and I'm delighted as someone who came from poverty themselves. I mean, I left home at 17. You know, I put myself through school. I lived in substandard housing. I heard the cockroaches crawling across my books as a kid. as a young person. I worked minimum wage jobs. Education was my way out of poverty. I went to Seminole State College and the University of Central Florida. I was able to do that, but I had to live in substandard housing, and I bought my first house in Deltona because it was the only affordable housing I could find. Finally got the chance to move to downtown Orlando. To be able to sit on the city council and to be able to be a part of providing affordable, safe, clean, affordable housing to others is just amazing. And you know, if I could just stand up and cheer and scream and holler, I would right now, but I want to be a professional. But this is just such, it makes my soul feel good. So thank you, everyone involved in this. Commissioner Hill, thank you for getting it, because it's not about creating wealth for one person. It's about creating opportunities for a community. So thank you for your leadership on this. Mayor, this, of course, wouldn't have been possible without all the work, the hard work of the staff, the CRA, code enforcement funding. But these are good investments, which really are transformational. And with that, I will move the consent agenda.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, we will, without objection, recess the City Council meeting and convene the CRA meeting. First item of business is accepting minutes from the advisory board from November 28, 2018. Is there a motion to? Motion?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? So the motion carries. All right, number 2 is meeting minutes from the CRA on December 10th, 2018.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3 is a streetscape agreement. Thomas?
All right, good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor and City Commissioners. Item 3 is approving streetscape agreement amendment for 20 North Orange Avenue on February 12, 2018. The CRA approved the streetscape agreement with Steelbridge 20 North LLC for reimbursement of streetscape renovations costing just under $155,375. The streetscape project is currently under construction but will not be completed within the 12 months original period contemplated by the agreement. Steelbridge LLC has requested an extension, and staff is recommending an extension of the period from 12 to 18 months. That's 6 additional months. If there are no questions, staff is requesting approval of the First Amendment to Streetscape Agreement with Steelbridge 20 North LLC and authorization for the Chair and Executive Director to execute the agreement subject to review and approval of the City Attorney's Office.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion or questions of Thomas? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, a budget amendment. Thomas, number 4.
Thank you. Item number 4 is approving FY 2018-19 Budget Amendment 1. We're proud to announce that the CRA Paramore Infill Housing Project has sold its first 2 single family infill homes this last quarter, resulting in revenue of $390,492. This budget amendment recognizes that revenue in the CRA Paramore Housing Initiative project account for future use, and therefore staff seeks approval of the Community Redevelopment Budget Amendment 1 and Budget Resolution 1, amending the 2018-2019 CRA budget as stated in the resolution.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. So it's not that often that the budget amendment is to add revenue instead of spend more money. How about that? Actually, I can't remember the last one, to tell you the truth. Okay, discussion. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. And number 5, Thomas.
And number 5, of course, is the project that we're also excited about today. This is your approval of the development agreement between the city, CRA, Paramore Asset Stabilization Fund, LLC, and Central Florida Foundation, Inc. Of course, this is a companion to consent agenda item C15 and provides for $250,000 from the CRA as well as $500,000 from the city for the rehab/renovation of some 83 properties in Paramore.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and so the motion carries. So that's both pieces of it. For you Valencia students, that was a really big deal, but we had a hour and a half meeting this morning at workshop where we went through all of the details of that. So you weren't shorted on not getting all the information about that, but we've already worked on that in detail this morning. So that was a good result.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, further business come before the CRA?
There's none, Mayor. Thank you.
Then the CRA will stand adjourned. We'll reconvene the city council meeting. Brings us to hearings, ordinances, first read. Let's go with number 1, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 2019-13, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to the city's growth management plan, amending future land use sub-area policy S-2.5, providing for amendment of the city's growth management plan, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, and effective date.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify relating to this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, so the motion carries. All right, hearings, ordinances on second reading, number 1.
Ordinance 2019-3, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, vacating, closing, and abandoning a 14-foot alley on the north side of West Copeland Drive, east of Sly Boulevard, and comprised of 0.05 acres of land, more or less, providing for the execution of affecting documents, severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify relating to this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2.
Ordinance 2019-7, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, rezoning certain land generally located south of Little Lake Fairview, east of Edgewater Drive, west of Greens Ave, and north of Dowd Ave, and comprised of 60.2 acres of land, more or less, from R-1AA, MU-1, and R-2A with varied overlay districts of Wekiva, Edgewater Drive Special Plan, Appearance Review, and Resource Protection to plan development with the existing varied overlay districts, providing a development plan and special land development regulations of the planned development district, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners.
Mayor.
Commissioner.
Let me just say a quick thanks to our staff and to Bishop Moore and to the community for coming together on this project. It was a lot that came into it at one time. I want to say a special thanks to them. I think it's going to be a great project when it gets done, and I appreciate their patience and their input. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, we have 10 first reads. So let's get started. Number 1.
Ordinance 2019-12, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, annexing to the corporate limits of the city certain land generally located south of Oglesby Ave, west of Clay Street, north of Crandon Ave, and east of Formosa Ave, and comprised of 0.242 acres, more or less, and amending the city's boundaries description, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to designate the property as neighborhood activity on the city's official future land use map, amending the boundary of future land use sub-area policy S.2.5, providing for an amendment of the city's growth management plan, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, and effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2.
Ordinance 2019-8, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to the commercial and multifamily requirements, amending Chapter 58 Orlando City Code to provide for appropriate locations and screening of recycling facilities, providing for adjustments to standards when placing recycling facilities into existing development by the zoning official, providing legislative findings, and for severability, codification, correction of Scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Sheehan.
Mayor, may I say something?
Yes, sir.
I just want to thank Mike for doing such a great job. You're truly committed. Where is he here?
Over there.
Okay. There you are.
Hidden from you.
Thank you. You're hiding from me. Thank you for the job you're doing, for being so communicative with all of us and helping us out with our issues, and being out there on the forefront of anything that has to do with this difficult task. So thank you so very much, and your staff too.
All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, number 3.
Ordinance 2019-9, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending Chapter 28 of the City Code regarding solid waste management by updating the single-family residential recycling program to reflect current operational procedures, amending the multifamily residential recycling program to require the owners of multifamily residential properties to provide a recovered materials container, establishing a commercial recycling program requiring the owners of a commercial establishment to provide a recovered materials container, providing exemptions, providing for the establishment of collection frequencies and other revisions to operational and billing procedures, clarifying ownership of solid waste, hazardous materials, and recovered materials, amending the appeal process, adding and updating definitions, titles, and terms, providing legislative findings, amending Chapter 5 of the City Code to provide penalties, and providing for severability, codification, correction of Scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there anyone that would like to testify? Discussion among commissioners? Mike, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, number 4, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 2019-11, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the Diaz-Tirado Plan Development Zoning District, providing an amended development plan for the plan development, providing amended land development regulations and permitted uses in the plan development district, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify related to this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, number 5, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 2019-14, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, designating certain land generally located south of Oglesby Ave, west of Clay, north of Crandon Ave, and east of Formosa Ave, and comprised of approximately .242 acres, more or less, as the Planned Development Zoning District, providing for an amendment of the city's official zoning map, amending the Cavalry Assembly Planned Development to include the property in the legal description and to amend certain conditions and exhibits, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone that would like to testify? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 6.
Ordinance 2019-15, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the Southeastern Oaks Plan Development Zoning District, providing an amended development plan and amended land development regulations for the plan development, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there anyone who would like to testify related to this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, number 7.
Ordinance 2019-16, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, designating certain land generally located west of Narcoossee Road, north of Central Florida Greenway, and south of Lake Nona Boulevard, and comprised of 11.15 acres of land, more or less, planned development to the official zoning map of the city, providing a development plan and special land development regulations of the planned development district, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Stewart. Is there anyone that would like to testify related to this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 8.
Ordinance 2019-18, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's growth management plan to change the future land use map designation of approximately 5.3 acres of land generally located north of Dowden Road, east of Boggy Creek Road, and west of Great Sound Drive from office low intensity with a resource protection overlay district to conservation, changing the property zoning designation from low intensity office residential with a resource protection overlay district to conservation, providing for amendment of the city's growth management plan and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone that would like to testify? Discussion among commissioners? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 9.
Ordinance 2019-19, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's growth management plan to change the future land use map designation of approximately 0.19 acres of land generally located south of West Jersey Street, west of Taylor Ave, north of West Michigan Street, and east of Coons Ave from industrial to urban activity center, changing the property zoning designation from general industrial with the traditional city overlay district and the Orange, Michigan Special Plan Overlay District to urban activity with the traditional city overlay district and the Orange, Michigan Special Plan Overlay District, providing for amendment of the city's growth management plan and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. And number 10.
Ordinance 2019-20, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending and restating the Princeton Commerce Center Plan development to expand the boundaries, update the master development plan, and to exclude certain properties from the amended plan development for property generally located along West Princeton Street and Orange Blossom Trail between CSX Rail Line and John Young Parkway, and comprised of 100.1 acres of land, more or less, providing a development plan and special land development regulations of the Plan Development District, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and so the motion carries. That concludes the official business of the Orlando City Council today. Stand by.